there, awesome artists! We are going to learn how to make this super cool three-dimensional folded landscape. And you can turn it into whatever landscape you want it to be. So here are the materials we are going to need. You're going to need a piece of paper, pencil, scissors, and something to color in your landscape with. So I'm going to use some of these. Oh, and a glue stick. I forgot to add that, if you want to add some details. Now, first thing, we're going to take our paper and we're going to hold it horizontal, just like this. And now we're going to fold it in half like a card. So we're folding it in half, hamburger style. I'm going to pinch those corners together, make sure they meet and the edges of the paper line up. Once that's good, I'm going to fold down the middle just like this. Now, once that's folded, you're going to fold the edge of the paper where that open mouth part is. We're going to fold it over to the folded middle part of our paper, just like this. So once we've got that folded down, now we're going to slowly flip our paper over. There we go. And do the same thing on the other side. So the open mouth part, that's going to meet on the fold right there. So I'm going to fold it over to the fold. Okay. Wow. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. Fold it down, make sure it matches. Looks pretty good. All right. So once we've got that, now what we're gonna do is open it up, and you should see it's kind of like an accordion fold. That's what we call this, kind of like that zigzag fold. So now what we're going to do is start creating our landscape. So we're gonna create the silhouette or the outline. So I'm starting not on the first rectangle. So notice how my paper is going landscape style or horizontal. So I'm starting on that folded line and making a curvy line down to the last, okay? If you want to start at the very corner top, you can. You'll just have like one giant mountain. But if you want to have like a sky, like my example did, I left that one column free. So I started my line on the fold instead of at the corner. All right, so once we got that, I'm going to cut out along that line, and then I'm going to cut along the fold for the sky, and that is that. And I'm going to fold it back up so you can start seeing our folded landscape. Let's see, and whoa, look at that, it's starting to come together. Now we just got to add all the details. So now we can see all the different layers of our landscape. And if you didn't know, there are 3 parts to a landscape: foreground, middle ground, and background. We use these terms when we're talking about a landscape or a picture of land in art. So in this case, here are our parts of our landscape. So we have the foreground, which is what is closest to us, the ground. And then the middle ground would be the area like where buildings go, trees are, the castle, that kind of stuff. And then the background is the very back, so like the sky would be our background. So those are the 3 parts of a landscape. If you didn't know, well, now you know, and you're that much smarter. Okay, so now it's time to start coloring in our landscape. So you can do it any way you want to. For me, I kind of wanted to do some watercolors first and do my picture in layers. So what I'm doing here is I'm painting first the first column with my watercolors, and then I will paint the third column, and I'll show you why I'm doing that. I wouldn't do all of them together because some go on the front and some go on the back, and you'll see what I mean in just a minute. So if you do want to paint your landscape, this is how I'm doing mine. Of course, you can do any colors you want. You can make it realistic, fantasy, totally up to you. And any kind of landscape you want. Maybe it's, there's a bunch of buildings, or maybe it's snowy mountains, or, however you want to make it. That's up to you. So what I'm doing here is like I said, I'm painting the first section or first column and the third column only on the front of my paper, because that's how it's going to line up. Now, after I paint that or color that, then I'm going to let it dry for a little bit. Oh, look at that, just magically dried. Just kidding. So once it's dry, see how it layers up like that? I'll see those too. If I painted the back, then I wouldn't have seen all that beautiful color I just painted. So now that those are painted, the first and the third, now I'm going to work on the second and the fourth. So I flipped my paper to the back now, so I'm painting on the back, not where I was before, but now on the back, and you'll see why again. So I'm going to go ahead and paint in those sections, the second and the fourth section, and once that's dry, you'll see how it all lines up. If you decide that you want to paint your landscape like me, then I would suggest while you're waiting for parts of it to dry, you can work on if you want to add little pieces like a castle or a town or buildings or trees or whatever you want to cut out and glue down. Then I would suggest using that time while it's drying to work on drawing all those things and cutting them all out and all that good stuff, which I'll demonstrate in just a moment, a little bit after this, and you'll kind of see what I'm saying. So, yeah. Okay, so now that it is all dried and ready to go, now I'm going to fold everything back in and see how it lines up. So if I painted the opposite, then I wouldn't have seen all those layers. So make sure you have the two in the front and the two in the back when you paint. So now that they are all ready to go, now I'm going to add on any other details. So there's a lot of options of what you can do here. If you want to just draw directly onto your landscape, that's fine. What I'm doing here is kind of doing a collage, so I'm going to draw little pieces like my castle and a little town, and then I'm going to cut them out and then glue them onto my landscape. So that's something you could do if you want to do that, or if you just want to draw directly on using markers, crayons, whatever you got, that works too. But this is just how I'm doing mine. So once I've cut everything out, colored it all in, now I'm ready to start gluing it all down. So I'm going to figure out where I want everything to go first. I made this castle and like a little town here, and I'll go ahead and glue them down. But again, you can make it into anything that you want. I went a little more fantasy here. I even made Rapunzel's tower because I wasn't sure which way I wanted to go, but I think I like the castle more. So yeah. So once I do all of that, if you want to add details like this, you can draw them in. Again, whatever you want to do is your decision. So these are just some ideas. So I'm going to add some glue and then glue it down, give it a little massage, and that's that. And one other idea I forgot to mention, with that extra scrap paper that we didn't use in the beginning of the video, you can use that too, either like how I did, I used it to draw my little pieces on, like my castle and stuff, or if you want to use that piece and make it into like another set of mountains or widen up your landscape and make like a whole scene, that's another idea too. Well, thanks so much for watching with me and doing this with me. I had a super duper fun time making this, and I hope you did too. And just keep on creating awesome and amazing things. See ya!